the boast before the silence. The tavern was loud with alien laughter, filled with the metallic scent of plasma ale and the hum of distant ship engines. Warriors from a dozen species gathered around a single table, each bragging about their victories, their scars, their hunts, and in the center sat General Carson of the Vrath Dominion, his armor still stained with blood not his own, his voice heavy with pride. "I have slain Deathworlders," he announced, lifting his cup high, his mandibles clicking with arrogance. "The beasts from that cursed world of storms, the ones your people whisper about in fear. I hunted them." The crowd cheered, some in awe, some in disbelief. Carson's four eyes glowed under the red light of the tavern as he continued. "They fought like wild storms, yes, but in the end, they screamed like all prey do." At the corner of the room, unnoticed, a quiet figure sat alone, covered in a worn cloak, hands clasped around a simple mug. No armor, no weapon, no visible rank, but there was something unsettling in the way the figure sat, perfectly still, perfectly calm, a silence sharper than any blade. Carson banged his cup against the table. "The Deathworlders are myths now. Their worlds turned to ash. Their kind extinct by our hands," he said proudly. The alien crowd cheered again, their voices rising like a storm of ignorance. Then from the shadowed corner came a voice. Quiet, human, but a cut through the noise like thunder in vacuum. "Did any of them hunt back?" The tavern fell silent instantly. Even the engines outside seemed to fade. Every head turned toward the cloaked stranger. Carson frowned, his mandibles twitching. "What did you say, traveler?" The stranger rose slowly, removing the hood, revealing a human face, calm, unreadable, scarred by old wars. His eyes held no fear, only memory. "I asked," the human said, his voice steady. "Did any of them hunt you back?" The room seemed to shrink. Several of the aliens stepped away instinctively, feeling something ancient stir in their instincts. A quiet reminder of what humans once were. Carson tried to laugh, but it came out forced, brittle. "You're a long way from your Deathworld, human," he said mockingly. "Careful. You might become prey yourself." The human smiled faintly, the kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes. "Funny," he said. "That's what they all said." Carson slammed his cup down. "You mock me?" The human's voice didn't rise, it didn't need to. "I've seen your kind before," he said. "Hunters who think war is sport, who count kills like coins." He stepped closer, his boots echoing softly, each step heavier than the last. "When your fleet entered Sigma Draconis, who do you think you were fighting?" "Beasts?" he asked quietly. Carson froze. "That was a military operation. Classified." The human cut him off. "That was my planet." The room went dead silent again. Even Carson's guards hesitated. The human's presence felt heavier now, like the gravity around him had deepened. "You slaughtered our colonists, our children, and you called it a hunt," he said, his voice soft but lethal. "Tell me, General, did any of your hunters come back from the forests?" Carson's throat clicked nervously. He remembered the reports, squads that never returned, ships lost without distress calls, entire units gone. Rumors whispered of invisible weapons, unseen movements, and a voice over comms that said only, "You entered a death world uninvited." Carson tried to hide the flicker of fear in his eyes. "Lies," he spat. "Your kind was wiped out." The human's gaze turned cold. "Then why am I still here?" No one spoke, no one breathed outside through the tavern's thick glass. The faint silhouette of a Terran ship passed silently across the stars, its hull black as night, no lights, no markings. Only the symbol burned faintly into the metal, a single hand reaching toward the stars, and for the first time in a long while, the Vrath general didn't feel like the predator. He felt like prey. The human turned to leave, pulling his hood back on as he passed the door. He whispered a single phrase low enough for only Carson to hear. "The hunt isn't over." Then he was gone, swallowed by the neon light and the sound of engines, but his words lingered like smoke. Heavy, poisonous, unforgettable. And somewhere deep inside Carson's mind, a memory surfaced, a Deathworlder's scream, not of pain but of laughter, right before the forest went silent. The next morning, the Vrath Dominion warship Iron Talon drifted above the crimson clouds of Station Vicor. General Carson stood at the command deck, his claws tapping against the console, his mind still replaying the human's words. "The hunt isn't over." The voice echoed inside his skull. He tried to dismiss it as empty bravado, but the silence of the stars around him felt heavier than usual. A low-rank officer approached cautiously. "General." Long-range scanners picked up an old Terran transmission. Carson's eyes narrowed. "Terran? That can't be right. The humans were purged a century ago." The officer swallowed, his gills tightening. "It's real, sir. It's broadcasting from the old Draconis sector." The bridge grew tense. Draconis, the name itself, carried a curse among the Dominion fleets. Ships that entered never returned. Drones went dark and signals twisted into static. Carson clenched his jaw. "Put it on screen." A burst of static filled the chamber, followed by a distorted voice. Old, deep, human. "To those who call themselves hunters, remember this, not all prey runs," then silence. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The voice returned, this time clearer. "You hunted our colonies, burned our skies, and thought we'd fade. But Deathworlders adapt, and we never forget." Every word was calm, controlled, but carried a weight that froze even the hardened soldiers. The message looped, repeating again and again. As if waiting for someone to answer, Carson hissed, "It's a trick." An automated loop, but even he didn't sound convinced. He turned to his communications officer. "Trace it." "I want the source." Of the officer's claws danced over the console. "Triangulating now, sir." "The signal originates from the surface of Sigma Draconis III. Carson's mandibles twitched. "That world is supposed to be barren." Before he could speak again, another transmission cut through. This time not a recording, but a live signal. "Vrath Dominion vessel Iron Talon. You stand in restricted Terran space. Identify your intent." The voice was precise. Human and alive, every alien on the bridge froze. Carson barked, "Who is this?" "Humans are extinct." A pause, then the same voice replied, "Incorrect." The words were simple, but they struck like plasma fire. Carson's sub-commander whispered, "It's impossible. No Terran fleet exists anymore." Carson raised a trembling claw. "Jam the signal." But the moment they tried, their systems flickered, the lights dimmed, and the ship's AI screamed warnings across every channel. "Unauthorized infiltration detected. Core access compromised. Unknown encryption pattern. Terran origin." The bridge turned to chaos. Alarms flashing red, screens glitching into static. Through the flicker, one image stabilized, a human face, masked cold, reflected in the static light. "This is Captain Mara Holt of the Terran Recon Fleet," the figure said. "You've trespassed into our graveyard, and graveyards don't like visitors." Then the feed cut, leaving only darkness and the sound of the ship's power core stuttering. For a long moment no one spoke. The silence was thick, suffocating. Carson's throat clicked softly. "She can't be real. Terran Recon Fleet was destroyed before I was hatched." The younger officers didn't respond. They only stared at the star map now shifting on their displays. New contacts appeared, faint at first, then clearer. Dozens of small signals emerging from the shadow of the Draconis moon. "Unidentified craft detected," the ship's AI whispered in a monotone voice. "They bear no Dominion signature." Carson's claws dug into the console. "How many?" 37 confirmed, all cloaked, approaching vector 21 degrees. Carson's eyes widened. "Show me." And there, against the deep blue of Draconis space, shapes emerged, sleek, silent, black as void. Their formation perfect. Each vessel bore no light, no visible weapon ports. Only faint white markings, the Terran emblem. A single hand reaching toward the stars. The crew fell silent once more. It wasn't a fleet returning from extinction. It was a fleet that had never left. Carson's voice broke through the stillness, low and afraid. "Signal command. Tell them the Deathworlders are back." But the communications array was already dead. On every screen, one line of Terran text appeared in white letters, glowing softly in the dark. "The hunt has changed." The stars over Sigma Draconis turned cold and quiet. No Dominion song of engines echoed. No light of trade lanes flickered. Only silence, vast and heavy, from the bridge of the Iron Talon. General Carson stared into the black void where his sensors had gone blind. The human voice still haunted the air. "The hunt has changed." The words played in his mind like a curse. "Power readings," he demanded. "Fluctuating, sir," the technician stammered. "Every channel is being jammed by something we can't identify." Carson gritted his teeth. "Bring weapons online, outside the ship." Space shimmered. At first it looked like distortion, like the light was bending wrong. Then the truth emerged, shadows taking form one by one. as if the void itself was giving birth to ships. Terran hulls, black and silent, slid out from cloaking fields. No running lights, no energy signatures, only faint blue symbols that pulsed like heartbeats along their sides. Each was built for one purpose: vengeance. Count them, Carson whispered. The AI responded in a tone that almost sounded afraid. 72 Terran vessels, designation Black Fleet. Classification unknown. A murmur spread across the bridge. Those two words, Black Fleet, were not supposed to exist. They were a myth. Stories told by deserters who claimed humanity's wrath had built ghost fleets in exile. One of the younger officers gasped as the Terran flagship appeared, its size dwarfing the Iron Talon, a long obsidian blade of metal that cut across the stars. The Dominion scanners failed to measure its full length. The data returned as corrupted, beyond limits. Carson's mandibles clicked nervously. Open a channel, Static answered. Then a human voice filled the bridge once more, calm, almost gentle. This is Admiral Rees of the Terran Black Fleet. You are trespassing in a restricted system. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. The Dominion crew erupted in panic. Admiral, this is a misunderstanding. Carson tried to speak. We believed your kind extinct. The voice cut him off. You believed what was convenient. A flicker of movement appeared outside. The Black Fleet's lead vessel, the Obsidian Vow, rotated slowly, its hull rippling with heat signatures. Then for the first time, they saw the Terran emblem, a white symbol of a human skull surrounded by planetary rings. Beneath it were words etched in ancient Terran script. No world left behind. The Terran ship fired, not with plasma, not with missiles, but with a beam of soundless light. The Iron Talon's shields dissolved instantly, their energy scattered like dust. Every Dominion officer on board felt their vision blur. Their comms vanish, their sensors burn out. No explosion, no fire, just silence, and then nothing. When Carson opened his eyes, the Terran fleet was gone. Only debris floated where once proud Dominion ships had stood. But the horror was not over. A single transmission remained in his log. Marked with Terran encryption, it played automatically. General Carson, the same human voice said. This was not revenge, it was a reminder. Your kind hunts for sport. Ours hunts for balance. Tell your Dominion this, the Deathworlders never vanished. We only learned how to hide. The message ended with coordinates. Unknown space, uncharted, and beneath it a final Terran phrase. The hunt ends. When the galaxy learns fear again. Carson sank into his chair. The tavern from that night flashed in his mind. The human's calm voice. The quiet question, did any of them hunt back? Now he knew the answer. And the stars themselves seemed to whisper it too. Yes, they hunted back. Word of the Draconis massacre spread through the galaxy like fire and oxygen. Entire Dominion channels went dark, fleets recalled, trade routes rerouted. The official report said only 3 words. Human contact confirmed. But across the empires, whispers replaced facts and fear replaced laughter. In the neutral core world of Varith Prime, ambassadors from 12 species gathered in secret. Their ships hung above the planet like silver insects. Each afraid to be the first to speak, the conference hall buzzed with tension, and beneath the polished crystal walls, holograms of the Draconis system played on repeat, showing only black silhouettes moving through the stars. The Deathworld fleet. Ambassador Kelthar of the Vrath Dominion slammed his claws against the table. This cannot be real, he growled. Humans were erased. Their planets glassed. Across from him the tall, insectoid diplomat of the Seraphim Hive whispered, You erased what you could see, not what learned to vanish. The words hung in the air like a warning. No one replied because deep inside every empire knew humans were not gods, but they were something far more dangerous. They were stubborn, adaptable, and quiet until it was too late. Then the holofeed crackled, and a new signal broke through the static. The voice was human again, calm, patient. This is a message to all sectors, it said. You hunted us for centuries, but your mistake was thinking extinction is silence. The message played in every known system at once, from the frozen moons of Valka to the golden palaces of the Ascended Reach. Every empire, every outpost, every fleet heard the same voice. You taught us fear, it said. We turned it into a weapon. You taught us war, it said. We turned it into patience. You called us Deathworlders, the voice paused. You were right. The hollow feed ended with a simple image, a planet of blue and white. Earth, its coordinates burned into every screen. A message clear and terrifying. They were calling the galaxy home. In the halls of Vareth Prime, silence reigned again. Kelthar hissed, "If this is real, then war is coming." The insectoid diplomat clicked softly. War never ended. Far away, on the edges of Dominion space, scavengers found the wreck of the Iron Talon, its hull ripped clean by weapons unknown. Inside, in the captain's quarters, a single phrase was burned into the metal wall by heat and plasma. "The hunt ends with us." When the recovery drones returned the log to the Dominion Council, the readings confused them. The residual radiation wasn't plasma, wasn't antimatter, it was biological, alive, human-engineered nanites, still active, rewriting the ship's structure molecule by molecule. And when the scientists tried to isolate one under a scope, it spelled out letters across the glass plate. "You're being watched." No one knew what it meant. But deep in the Dominion core world, systems began to fail one by one. Not from attack, but from infiltration. Communications rerouted, data rewritten, fleets stranded. It was as if the ghosts of Earth had learned to move through their technology like whispers through air. Meanwhile, in a forgotten system on the Galactic rim, the Black Fleet rested in silence, dozens of Terran ships hidden beneath the shadow of a dying sun. Inside the command deck of the Obsidian Vow, Admiral Reese stood before a darkened holomap. Her reflection flickered against the glowing coordinates of alien worlds. "Phase 1 complete," said the officer beside her. "They're afraid." Reese didn't smile. "Fear is the first stage," she said softly. "Remembrance is the second." Behind her, the stars shimmered, and somewhere out there beyond the rim, the galaxy began to whisper the old stories again. Stories about the planet that fought the universe and won. Stories about the Deathworlders who never stopped hunting. Far beyond the mapped lanes of the galaxy, hidden between broken asteroid fields and dying suns, the silent armada drifted. No transponders, no heat signatures, no traces of life that sensors could read. But within those dark hulls, humanity was awake again, breathing, waiting, and rebuilding what the galaxy once feared most: unity. Inside the Terran command vessel Obsidian Vow, Admiral Reese walked through the bridge, her steps echoing softly against titanium floors. Rows of quiet officers monitored ghost feeds, intercepting Dominion transmissions and rewriting them in real time. They were rewriting truth itself slowly, carefully, until the galaxy's maps began to show Earth again. Not as dead, but as restricted space status on Project Ghost Signal, Reese asked. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Vega, replied, "Spreading through 9 sectors now, ma'am. Their own satellites are carrying our code." "Good," Reese murmured, her eyes on the holographic galaxy, its stars pulsing like heartbeats. "Let them believe we're shadows. Because shadows are harder to kill than soldiers." At the same time, in the Dominion capital of Vareth Prime, chaos brewed beneath polished marble towers. High Command debated in endless circles. One admiral demanded preemptive strikes, another screamed for surrender. But one voice cut through the noise. A scholar, Dr. Ilyar Voss, who had studied Terran history before it was forbidden. He whispered, "If they survived extinction, it means they learned what we could not." Silence. The council ignored him. Instead, they sent one of their best, a spy named Arketh. His mission was simple yet suicidal. Infiltrate the Sol system and confirm if Earth truly lived. Arketh's ship was small and silent, a stealth vessel meant for espionage. He entered human space under the shadow of Jupiter's magnetic storms. At first, his sensors read nothing. No transmissions, no orbiting satellites, only debris. Then, faintly, a signal appeared on an old Terran frequency. A heartbeat-like pulse, slow and steady. He followed it, each beat leading him closer to the blue planet humanity once called home. When Earth came into view, Arketh froze. It was not ruined, not scarred. The cities shimmered beneath a faint energy field. Oceans glowed with power grids hidden under the surface. The planet was alive, humming quietly like a predator breathing under the brush. His comms cracked suddenly. A voice spoke, human, calm, female, unidentified vessel. "You are trespassing in Sol territory." "State your purpose," Arketh panicked. "I am a scholar of the Dominion. I seek only truth." The voice paused, then replied, "Truth always comes with a cost." Before he could respond, his ship was seized by an invisible force, pulled into low orbit beneath him. Lights formed across Earth's surface. thousands of them, like stars rising from the ground. He realized they weren't lights at all, they were ships, massive, silent, lifting slowly into the upper atmosphere. The silent armada was no longer hiding. Each ship rose with precision, forming patterns in the sky that spelled one word across the black: home. Arketh trembled. He wasn't seeing the rebirth of a lost world. He was witnessing the gathering of something ancient. Disciplined and angry as his ship's systems went dark, the same voice whispered again through the static. "Tell your masters the Deathworld sleeps no more." Then his sensors recorded something impossible, a single Terran transmission sent to every empire, every planet, every listening ear. We were never gone. We were preparing, and as the message ended, stars across the galaxy flickered, because the silent armada had activated its hidden gates, linking forgotten colonies across every rim of space. The galaxy had spent centuries hunting humans. Now humanity had returned, not for revenge. The first sign was the light. Not fire, not plasma, not the burning glow of war, but a quiet shimmer that spread across the night skies of 1,000 worlds. At first the Dominion thought it was a solar flare, an atmospheric distortion, but then the stars began to move. Across the capital planet of Zareth Prime, citizens gathered in the streets, staring upward as streaks of silver crossed the heavens. They whispered prayers or curses depending on who they had once served. And then the truth came from the orbital sensors. Unknown vessels descending from the outer rings. No transponder codes, no identification. Only one repeated phrase through all Dominion frequencies. "The hunt returns." On the bridge of the Dominion command vessel, Crown of Wrath, Admiral Solkar barked orders. "Form defensive grid. Bring all planetary shields online." But his voice trembled. He had seen the recordings from Sigma Draconis, and he knew no shield would matter. From the void above, Terran ships broke through the cloud layer like shadows given form, sleek, black, invisible until they chose to be seen. They did not roar, they did not flash, and they fell. Hundreds of them, silent and perfect, aligning themselves in patterns of geometric precision. And then the sky itself turned against the Dominion. Every satellite, every drone, every defense turret suddenly reversed direction, firing on its own cities, its own fleets, its own people. The humans had not come to fight. They had already won before the battle began. They had rewritten the sky deep beneath Zareth's surface. In a control chamber buried in reinforced alloy, the Dominion Council screamed into failing comms. "Cut their signal. Jam their systems. Where are our fleets?" But one by one their answers came back dead. Above them, the Terran flagship Obsidian Vow hovered quietly. Its engines emitted no sound, no light, only gravitational ripples that bent the clouds beneath it. Inside, Admiral Reese watched the planet below through a cracked visor. "Target acquisition complete," said Lieutenant Vega. Reese nodded slowly, her voice calm and steady. "No need for fire," she said. "They've done it to themselves," and indeed, across the planet, Dominion fleets collided in chaos. Their targeting systems overwritten. Cities that had stood for 1,000 years turned into pillars of ash under their own weapons. Terran soldiers didn't land, they only watched. Because for Deathworlders, victory was not destruction. It was dominance, and dominance was silent. Meanwhile, Arketh, the spy who had seen Earth awaken, drifted aboard his captured ship, chained but alive. He was brought before Admiral Reese herself. Her gaze was like the vacuum, empty, infinite, unbreakable. "You wish to know if Earth survived," she said softly. Arketh bowed his head, his voice shaking. I know now." Reese stepped closer, her boots ringing like slow thunder. "Then carry the message," she said. "Tell them what happens when predators hunt something older than fear." He was released into space with a single pod, hurled toward neutral territory. And as his pod spun through the cold dark, he saw them. Thousands of Terran vessels lighting up across the sectors, one by one forming constellations in human shapes, each shaped like a symbol of remembrance. A hand reaching upward, a broken circle closing again. A planet reborn in silence when Arketh was finally rescued. He could only repeat one thing over and over. "They didn't attack," he whispered. "They returned." And across the fractured galaxy, that message echoed on every world in every capital. In every empire that once mocked Earth, leaders trembled. Because for the first time since the stars had been mapped, the galaxy remembered what it felt like to be prey. The Terrans had awakened and the sky itself now served them. But to finish the hunt, The war ended not with fire, but with silence. Across the Dominion's broken territories, the skies had gone dark. The fleets that once hunted Deathworlders now drifted aimlessly through void and debris, and the name Earth whispered like a ghost through every surviving transmission. General Carson lived, though barely. He had been found on the edge of the Vrath ruins, his armor cracked, his rank erased. The proud hunter who once bragged in taverns now walked alone beneath a burning sky. He remembered the human's face, the calm tone, the quiet words. Did any of them hunt back? He had his answer now, carved into the ashes of his empire. The last Dominion message ordered all surviving commanders to surrender, but Carson refused. He boarded a damaged scout ship and flew toward the outer edges of the Terran-controlled sectors. He wanted to see the humans again. He wanted to understand. When his vessel entered soul space, no defense fleet fired, no warning came. Only a pull, invisible, magnetic, deliberate. The ship descended through pale clouds toward the blue-white planet that no longer looked like prey. He landed among ruins that were not ruins at all. Old Earth cities stood preserved, their skyscrapers shining under new energy fields. Green forests grew where craters once burned, and above it all, Terran ships floated like guardians of the sky. Silent and eternal, Carson stepped out, weapon in hand but heart unready. He walked through an empty courtyard until he saw her. Admiral Reese. She stood beside a reflecting pool, her armor black as the void. Her reflection shimmered on the water like a memory reborn. "You came alone," she said quietly. Carson bowed his head. "I came to face what I once mocked." Reese studied him for a long moment, her eyes unreadable. "Tell me, General," she asked, "why did your kind hunt us?" Carson's throat clicked softly. "Because you were strong, and strength frightens those who pretend to rule." Reese nodded. "And now?" He looked around at the rebuilt world, at the fleets beyond the clouds. "Now I understand why your species never needed empires." Reese turned to face the horizon. "Empires rot," she said. "Legends endure." Carson lowered his weapon and whispered, "Will you destroy us?" The human admiral shook her head slowly. "Destruction is mercy," she said. "We prefer remembrance," he frowned, confused. And she looked at him with eyes that had seen centuries of silence and survival. "You will rebuild," she said, "and you will teach your young what happens when arrogance hunts the wrong prey." As the sun rose over the Terran Ocean, hundreds of ships emerged from the mist, massive, graceful, alive. Their hulls glowed faintly with light that looked almost organic. They moved in formation, not toward battle, but toward the stars. Carson realized they weren't preparing for conquest. They were leaving. The Deathworlders were done proving themselves. Before he could speak, Reese said one final thing, her voice softer now. "The galaxy always believed humans loved war." She paused. "They were wrong. We love survival." Carson fell to one knee, overcome by something he had never known, respect. As Reese turned away, her cloak catching the dawn light, she glanced back only once. "You asked once," she said, her tone barely above a whisper. "Did any of them hunt back?" Her eyes met his and she finished. "We never stopped. That day no transmissions left Earth. No warnings, no threats, only silence spread again. But this silence was different. It was peace born from fear, memory, and awe. And throughout the galaxy, every race, every commander, every child grew up knowing one truth, that somewhere beyond the mapped stars, Deathworlders still watched. And if ever the galaxy forgot that lesson, the hunt would begin again.